insurance status or ability to pay. In 2024, we were tasked with 4 topics to research: climate change's effect on public health, communities rebranding public health, health equity zones, accountable care in communities, and public health data modernization. Our 2025 newly created committee, Reducing Vaccine Preventable Diseases Exploratory Committee. Our board members collaborate with IDPH staff and all public health partners to report on the status of these issues and propose innovative solutions as we viewed each situation, remembering the goal of creating the brightest of futures for the people of Illinois. White papers are prepared and presented to the director. State Board of Health members view situations through a specific lens to be inclusive of all residents, regardless of which county one resides. And our emphasis continues in the safeguarding the health of the public, eliminating health disparities, and creating social and physical environments in which all citizens of Illinois can lead healthy and productive lives. We continue to support evidence-based public health practices that have led to healthier lives for the citizens of Illinois and to promote even more effective policies to meet future challenges. Our board members are truly dedicated, diligent, extremely productive, and we respect each other as we all work within the guidelines of our very specific bylaws, which had not been updated for 13 years. So in 2021, we took on this major undertaking, and we now review our bylaws yearly. Obviously, specificity needed to be addressed. Current issues, for example, rules regarding in-person meetings versus WebEx. Over the years, our board has written letters of concern to the director and governor in office. We addressed current issues and suggested specific actions be taken. In 2001, we wrote to Governor Ryan, specifically requesting that the governor's office completes our mandated board. And as some things have not changed, we now have 15 members. No one is at fault. Commitments change and circumstances occur. We know the governor's office is reviewing our recommendations and makes daily appointments. Also, we wrote in our annual report discussing immunizations, especially varicella. We discussed funds from the Tobacco Master Settlement Fund and the extensive additional monies for the Illinois Breast and Cervical Cancer Program. In 2004, we conveyed to Governor Blagojevich our concerns about the lack of statewide funding for tobacco control, and we confirmed we support legislation to implement smoke-free public places, workplaces, restaurants, and other venues. In 2006, again, we wrote to Governor Blagojevich in our annual report. We stressed that IDPH currently employs an insufficient number of staff with the qualification, training, and experience, very much as we struggle today with a workforce shortage. In 2013, medical cannabis was on our agenda with newly created rules, and the Alternative to Opioids Act of 2018 kept us alert. 2016, raw milk was our issue, and the State Board of Health was not in agreement with the final rules as endorsed by the Rauner administration and the director at that time. The State Board of Health was satisfied, however, as we fulfilled our role of providing evidence-based recommendations to protect the public's health. In 2020, we wrote to Governor Pritzker as we were made aware that a number of states' legislators had introduced and even passed laws designated to limit the activities of public health agencies at local, county, and state levels. We wrote, and I quote, "Recently, under the guise of the primacy of personal freedom and perceived governmental overreach, these policies comprise many of the same standards and accepted public health practices that were mentioned as responsible for the significant public health gains since 1900. Close quote. In 2022, we supported the policies that responded to mitigate the devastating effects of the pandemic. All members, all our staff, were all hands on deck, creating white papers, reports. We met often, remotely via WebEx to fulfill our statutory responsibilities during that time. And most currently, our letter to Director Wara to request status information on infectious disease immunizations, weakening of health insurance coverage, workforce demands, the changing federal stance on diversity, equity, inclusion, accessibility, DEIA, and data collection, and sharing our very serious concerns about how we might be able to assist. We emphasized during the new administration, these unique differences can lead to tough policy decisions, but we must not allow politics to dictate public health practice. Instead, we must unite and keep the entire state of Illinois safe, providing our public health systems and the appropriate authority to prevent disease and keep our residents healthy. And we know IDPH is reassessing goals, strengthening partnerships, and reaffirming its commitment to public health priorities. Together with its diverse network of collaborators, IDPH will continue to improve the health and safety of all Illinoisans. Slide, please. The State Board of Health has continued to work with IDPH rules coordinators and the legal department to provide oversight comments and suggested revisions to a wide range of legislation that affects public health in Illinois. Since 2017, the State Board of Health has reviewed over 100 state rules. Changes are suggested and written according to statutory language, and our board members oftentimes require clarification and request adjustments before being approved and forwarded to the Secretary of State for first review. Routine issues, as well as some major controversial issues over the years. A sample of some of those rules that the State Board of Health have reviewed over the past years are on that slide. And if by chance we miss the mark when reviewing a state rule, which I can't recall many times having done, JCAR, the Joint Committee on Administrative Rules, will indeed make an adjustment and inform us of a reason for a revision. Respectfully, in 2008, the board and IDPH had a minor disagreement for the first time while reviewing our rules. The State Board of Health requested specific waivers for children regarding a new school code to require eye examinations for Illinois school children and specificity as to who would be required to administer the exams. The department did not agree with the board's concerns, felt that the rule statutorily written was sufficient. We were asked to compromise and further review. The board was in agreement. We do work well together. The State Board of Health has a policy committee, which was created many, many years ago as a subcommittee of the board. They too meet four times per year, 1.5 hours. We determined there to be a need to have an opportunity to continue discussions about areas of concern which we felt required more research and clarification, areas where we need our voice to be heard in conjunction with the department, supportive action, if you will. In addition, this committee, a brainstorming session, always addressing current public health issues and ongoing challenges, is responsible for preparing support documentation for review and approval then by the State Board of Health. A motion then to the director or the department or the governor based on the issue. Slide, please. Presentations are made to the board and by board members in a policy committee or at a board meeting, and I've listed just a few for your review. The State Board of Health is required to present to the governor and the General Assembly an annual report about our activities in safeguarding the health of the public, eliminating health disparities, and creating social and physical environments in which all citizens of Illinois can lead healthy and productive lives, due February 1st of each year, and we strive to be on time. Slide, please. Also, per its mandate, according to the State Board of Health bylaws, to deliver to the governor for presentation to the General Assembly a state health improvement plan, which we refer to as SHIP, and a state health assessment, which we refer to as SHAW. The State Board of Health is involved in developing a state health improvement plan that engages public, private, and voluntary partners in strengthening the public health system infrastructure, which is so essential to improving the quality of life in Illinois communities. A multidisciplinary partnership, a planning team, is appointed to produce the plans and then meets monthly in collaboration with the Illinois Public Health Institute, University of Illinois Extension, experts in every field, representatives from health departments, and an incredibly dedicated IDPH staff. And I must apologize to all those many individuals and all their areas of expertise that I haven't given kudos to, as their time and dedication is priceless. Truly, there are more than 70 people involved in reviewing our 5 priorities listed on the slide and many other concerns. Since the inception of the SHIP, perhaps in 2004, members of the State Board of Health have participated throughout the entire review process. For this current iteration, I believe we have 3 State Board of Health members that are involved both with the SHIP and with the SHAW. And we are grateful for the village that actively works on and completes this presentation, which is delivered to the governor for presentation to the General Assembly. State Board of Health and IDPH are mandated to present an update for our successful Healthy Illinois 2028 State Health Improvement Plan, the state's 5-year plan for improving public health. These key priorities, framed within a health in all policies approach, serve as the blueprint for coordinated action across the state. Our goal is to review the specifics of the State Health Improvement Plan and continue to use all the tools that have been researched and studied and are available to us. And in January 2025, 1 year into that 5-year plan, The director sent the information to the governor and the General Assembly. And with regard to SHIP, the State Board of Health is responsible for conducting 3 hearings throughout the state to hear concerns and suggestions. And IDPH has taken the information and shared it with their constituents and their partners. We've made changes based on those hearings, as it is a framework for action. We make an effort, as we are all aware of what impacts our lives every day. We acknowledge our challenges and we look for opportunities to establish appropriate improvements as we strive to make better public health available to all people, all residents of Illinois. Our board members are asked to represent the director and the governor throughout our state, as well as accompany them at certain locations for meetings and press conferences. We are working every day to prepare for future emergencies, the next crisis that may be at our doorstep, with specific partnerships, and we are grateful that funding is dedicated to improving preparedness. IDPH has medical services led by chief medical officer and physicians working across the state to identify challenges where outbreaks are happening. We continue partnerships with communicable disease and disease control to identify challenges. We recognize firearm violence as a public health issue, and youth vaping is still a public health crisis. Illinois continues to lead in preserving reproductive health and access. IDPH remains committed to ensuring residents can make critical decisions about their health and well-being. Slide, please. Over the years, the State Board of Health conducted several public hearings throughout the state at 3 separate locations to seek public input with invitations extended statewide. Some, for example, are noted on this slide. And we are concerned that the new federal executive branch administration may present reductions to federal funding of state public health departments, as well as challenges to long-held policies and programs that promote public health, such as immunization mandates, fluoridation of public drinking water, control of environmental toxicants, and others. However, the State Board of Health stands ready to support the department in any way that we can. Slide, please. I am honored and privileged to join such a distinguished group steering the course of our healthcare initiatives, and their collective wisdom resonates profoundly in our decision-making process. We all, I hope you will agree, are fortunate that Illinois has incredible leaders. I know I am joined by every member of the State Board of Health to confirm our commitment to support the director, the assistant director, the department, and the people of the state of Illinois by a careful and thoughtful review of public health rules and policies designed to improve the health of all people in our great state. Slide, please. Thank you very much. I talk like this in a meeting all the time.
Ooh, that was fast.
20 minutes, Lubia, right on.
Oh, thank you so much. I know, and
action packed.
I know you and I talked about like the State Board of Health does so much, and you gave us the quickest review I've ever heard, which truly appreciated. But I do want to leave some space and time for folks to ask questions. And, really the reason why I wanted to have you all come present to us is because, the State Board of Health really does a lot. And it's really important for folks in our ambassadors program to know a little bit more and to have that background as we move forward as ambassadors and as public health supporters, really. And so I wanted to make time for anybody to share questions. I am going to look in the chat and see if we got any comments. Let's see, can we get copies of the slides for each presentation? Yes, as just a quick reminder, they get sent out via our newsletter. If you haven't signed up for that, we'll be sure to put the link to sign up as an ambassador to get that newsletter in the chat at the end. Let's see. Robert says you didn't even take a breath. Wow, awesome. I know you.
Yes, Dr. Dutton, she gave me 15 and I begged for 20. So I did it as quickly as I possibly could.
She did it. I love it. It's great. Let's see. El Maria Saad says, great presentation. Thank you for the great overview. Wow, the work you all are doing is commendable. Absolutely. I wanted to invite any of our ambassadors, if you had any questions, you're welcome to come off mute. You're welcome to put your comments in the chat and I can read them off. But does anybody have questions for Karen?
And I'd like to take a moment just to acknowledge that I do have a board member joining me today, Susan Swider. So thank you, Susan, for being with me.
I am
think
always with you, Karen.
Thank you so much.
I think both you, Karen, and both you, Susan, I think I've seen you pretty regularly at our meetings, and I want to thank you for being here. I know that you do work with the State Board of Health. You also do and attend and are really active with our ambassadors group, attending and giving background feedback, and certainly working with IDPH. If nobody has a question, I actually do. I kind of wanted to know a little bit about our ambassador side, and obviously you're on the State Board of Health, but I wondered if there's any more opportunities for our ambassadors to get involved with the Board of Health or with these committees, or just providing any feedback to some of these reports that the board has generated. And so I wondered if either you, Karen, Susan, if you have comments as well, I'd like to know if you have any thoughts.
Lubia, we welcome any ambassadors, anyone to join our meetings at any time. Our minutes are very extensive. Not only I put the governor's link there. Not only are you available to have an opportunity to join the board as a citizen at large, but there are so many other task forces and advisory councils that your ambassadors can get involved in, both at local levels. So yes, if you, Lubia, find that you'd like to introduce an ambassador to us, we welcome the opportunity.
Absolutely. Yeah.
We are doing research. Susan just did a report, an extensive report. We are doing research all the time. We look forward to working with anyone who is able to assist us in the research area.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Lubia,
Susan,
I also want to add how important this group is. One of public health's biggest challenges is getting word out to the public about what we do, because as they always say, when public health is successful, it means we've prevented something and nothing happens. So
Right.
The idea that you have this group of people that gets together monthly, and then hopefully, they tell two friends and they tell two friends, and so on and so on. And the citizens of Illinois, the people that live in the state can really understand what IDPH is doing. And share that with people. The work you guys do is very important, and we really thank you for it.
Oh, thank you. Thank you both so much. I know that, again, because of your connection to the ambassadors and being with us in these meetings, and it's awesome to hear you all say that, and to I see the value. I know colleagues in our meetings definitely see the value, and I love hearing about how other folks talk about our ambassadors group. So thank you so much for those words. Any other questions? Dr. Dutton says, I am a true boots on the ground ambassador in Will County. Woo -hoo. I think we have our regional health officer for that area. I think, Omira, I think it's you in Will County, or somebody. I know what, it's either Omira or Amy Hall, or
In Lake County, you say, Lubia?
in Will County.
Uh,
Yeah. Oh, Omira. Okay. Yeah. So our regional health officer for our Westchester area, which is a big chunk of, or that includes Chicago and some collar counties and some counties in between, is Omira Giacello. And so, certainly, if you haven't been already connected with her, I think it'd be worth connecting there and doing some more connections there. So anyway, any other questions, comments for Karen, for even Susan, if she's willing. And if you all think of some more, please feel free to send me a message. I will certainly get it to the group, to Karen, to Susan, and to whoever else is more appropriate. But yeah, if there's no other questions, then I think we can say thank you so much.
Thank you.
Karen, again, thanks for putting that presentation together. Thanks, Susan, for your comments. And I will make sure to get these slides out to folks if that's all right with you. And then we'll share that within the newsletter when it comes out next week.
Perfect.
Wonderful. Thank you. All right. Moving on to our next presenter. I see Lieutenant Alejandre. Hi, are you there?
Yes, good afternoon, Lubia. Good afternoon, group.
Oh, wonderful. Great. Would you like me to display your slides, or do you want to take care of that?
Yeah, sure. If you have them up, sure.
Sure. 1 second. I'll give you the mic and I'll set up in the background.
Perfect. Well, again, Lubia, thank you so much to you and your ambassador group for this opportunity. It's quite an honor. I'm always impressed by what other state employees and other state agencies are doing out there to make sure that we have a healthy society and a safe society. So again, thank you for the opportunity. I wish I would have known that Karen needed more time. I would have gladly sacrificed because my slides are not. It's only a couple of slides that I have. So I will make sure I save some time for Karen because I'm sure you guys have questions for her. Again, just want to give you a brief overview about the Cannabis Control Office. Cannabis Control
Sorry.
Office. Oh, that's
Sorry,
okay.
Hector.
It's
One
okay.
second. I closed out the wrong presentation. 1 second.
It's okay, no worries. So the first slide just talks about what our Cannabis Control Office is made up of, and that is a captain, a bureau chief, a lieutenant unit coordinator, that's myself. I have two master sergeants, so we divvy up the state between the north and the southern region. We have 21 total inspectors. The majority of them are internal security inspectors, investigators, primarily former law enforcement officers, which is one of the key requirements, prerequisites that we have for our inspectors, because we do value their experience and their knowledge as it pertains to the safety and video surveillance of these facilities. We have one administrative assistant and we have one accountant who helps us not only with our cannabis control office needs, but throughout the division. We have several other offices within our division. We actually are part of the Division of Justice Studies, Justice Services, which also has the FOID Concealed Carry Section Firearms Services Bureau within it. Next slide, please. So again, we originally started as the medical marijuana unit back in 2015 with the Compassionate Use of Medical Cannabis Pilot Program Act was first enacted. With the passage of the Cannabis Regulation and Tax Act, adult recreation, as you know, became effective. In 2020, we had our first sales. So we merged into the Cannabis Control Office, which is what we are currently known as. Our major functions are to review security plans for agriculture facilities. That includes cultivators, craft growers, infusers, and transportation. We conduct random inspections of all of these facilities. We actually have a mandate within the Illinois State Police that we will inspect each facility assigned to our inspectors at least once a month. And what our inspectors are generally looking for is they're looking for inventory adjustments. They're looking for waste destructions to make sure that these facilities are wasting products that are no longer, that are either expired, moldy, maybe the seal was broken, various reasons why they would have to destroy the product. All of this has to be captured on video surveillance. Dispensaries must maintain their video footage for up to 90 days, whereas cultivators, craft growers, and infusers for a total of 180 days. 90 days on site and 90 days off site. This allows our inspectors to go back historically if they need to go back to a destruction that maybe happened 2 or 3 weeks ago. As long as it's within that time frame, they can go back. They do have remote access to the video surveillance systems 24 remotely. We do this so that we can constantly monitor what's going on inside and outside. It's not to micromanage the staff that's there because a lot of them do wonderful things, but it's to keep them honest. Obviously, we're trying to deter people from theft, diversion, incidents that happen in facilities, whether it's customer base, employee on employee, things of that nature. Again, we perform shipping inspections of and review of manifest. So anytime a dispensary has a shipping order, a manifest must accompany that from the cultivator, craft grower, or infuser, and it lists the route of travel, who the drivers are. The drivers are generally two. There's a passenger and a driver. They have to maintain their IDs with them at all times. They have to have cell phones on there. They really cannot deviate from the route of travel. If they do, they must make a note of that, whether it's a bathroom break or a lunch break, things of that nature. If they're involved in crashes or their vehicles become disabled, then there are protocols by those facilities to ensure that that product is transferred safely to another vehicle and it makes it to its final destination safely. Obviously, we're always concerned about their safety as well as the safety of the motoring public because they do have product and sometimes cash in these vehicles. It makes it quite a target for the for individuals with bad intentions. So again, we hold informational meetings such as this. We also do presentations with law enforcement. I'm giving you guys the Reader's Digest version. I don't want to bore you with the history of cannabis, but there's a lot that we go where we go into local police departments and help educate them because there is still a lot of confusion as it pertains to lawful usage, lawful amounts that they can possess. For example, in Illinois residents can have up to 30 grams of flour, 500 milligrams of concentrate, and 5 milligrams of some type of edible or infused product. For out-of-state customers, it's half of that. Obviously, it's still a federally illegal substance, Schedule I substance with the Drug Enforcement Administration. So we're cautious of people transporting across state lines, and it becomes an issue at times, right? Because if you purchased illegally in Illinois, but you're traveling to a state that doesn't have recreational marijuana, you're really taking a chance on possibly being arrested. So obviously, any potential criminal activity is reported to us. We also encourage them to report it to local law enforcement. For example, there was a break-in at a cannabis location in the northwest side of Chicago this morning, so we'll have to follow up with that. We'll assist the Chicago Police Department with securing video and seeing if we can identify the individuals. I don't have all the details, and obviously with it being a pending investigation, I can't comment on it, but those are some of the issues that we deal with. Next slide, please. Again, we work with other state agencies. Obviously, your licensing regulatory authorities are your Department of Agriculture, which licenses all your cultivators, craft growers, infusers, and transportation companies. Your Department of Financial and Professional Relation, all of your dispensaries. Public Health, we work with on a regular basis with the medical cannabis program. Our Department of Revenue, make sure that the sales tax is being collected and properly being reported. Human Services on safety, product safety, consumption, things of that nature. Economic Opportunities not listed on here, but that's another one that helps with social equity applicants and applications. Next slide, please. Also, to go back, just to piggyback on that, we have weekly calls with these state agencies to make sure that we're all on the same page, that we're addressing issues of concern for not only for them, but for ours, for their inspectors. They also have inspectors who inspect these facilities. Sometimes we do joint inspections. We do share information. When our inspectors are done completing or are done conducting their investigation, they document it on a report that is forwarded to the with violations that is forwarded to these agencies. They then determine whether or not there's any sanctions or fines that go with those violations. Again, our under 21 detail is something that I'm very proud of, and our officers assist with. Is we have 8 investigative zones that we disperse money to, and what we want them to do is we want them to conduct under 21 detail operations. And what this entails, it entails us sending in a 18 or 19-year-old with their actual ID. We send them to these dispensaries with the hopes that they're going to be turned away. That is our hope. We don't do this to trick these facilities. As a matter of fact, we inform them before they open their doors or while they're during business. We inform them that we will be doing this. We will be sending in undercover minors to keep them honest. That's all we're trying to do, is keep them honest and make sure that they're paying attention to individuals that are walking in with their identification. So again, we're sending 18-year-olds with official advance fund money that is marked by the Illinois State Police. We send them in there. We want them to try to get in with their actual ID. If they get into the facility, that's one violation. If they make it to the sales floor, to the counter, and they check their ID and they allow them to order a product, that's the second violation. If they order a product, and it's usually a small amount, and they purchased and they sell it to this minor, now we have a criminal offense. That's where we don't want it to go to. So we've had a couple of those. Typically, the state's attorney's office do not prosecute those. They will then, we'll refer that over to the licensing regulatory agencies for their sanctions or fines or whatever discipline they may want to impose. Again, these details are not to trick these folks, is to keep them honest. Some of the typical behavior we see is, and I really attribute it to sheer laziness, because the equipment that these facilities have is high tech. So if you walk in with a vertical ID, we always train these security staff and management to look for vertical IDs. If it's a vertical ID, chances are it's probably an under 21 ID. If the light turns red, red means stop. It means take a second look at the identification you're looking at. Is it a minor? Is it the person that is actually presenting the identification? Are they walking in with a child, which they're not supposed to, unless it's a caregiver, and it's a medical patient? So things like that. So there are things that we encourage them to look out for. We always give them our best practices. We make suggestions. We don't dictate to them what they have to do. But when it comes to under 21 details, we want to make sure that they're paying attention, because, obviously, some of these products can be pretty potent, and some of these kids can end up in ERs as they have, not necessarily from the dispensaries, but one of our biggest complaints from not only the public, from other law enforcement officials, is these unregulated hemp shops and CBD vape shops, these gas stations that are selling these products. I will tell you that when we get these calls, we work with law enforcement. We want law enforcement to know that we're a partner to them. But it's very hard for state's attorneys to prosecute these cases, because there's always that hemp derived content that they'll say there is. And unless you send it to a lab and actually get it lab tested, by the time those lab test results, these shops are sometimes gone, right? So a lot of these city municipalities or jurisdictions are doing is they're passing local ordinances. They're working with their city officials and their legal department to ban these products from gas stations or some of these shops where some of these minors will walk in, and again, because there's no regulation, they, in my opinion, they fully take advantage of these youngsters, right, when they walk in, because these individuals don't know. They see THC, for example, which is a component that gets people high, and they think, well, this is fine, but it's the way they'll word it is it'll say hemp-derived THC, which obviously hemp is legal in Illinois. So that's always a concern to us. Next slide, please. Again, advertising. Advertising continues to be something that we consistently look at. We get complaints about it. So in Illinois, you cannot advertise the marijuana leaf on a billboard or things like that, but you can advertise the hemp leaf. For those of you that know what the hemp leaf and the marijuana leaf, it looks identical. It really does. I mean, there's only a trained eye would know the difference. But some of the packaging, for example, when I visit these facilities with my inspectors, we look at the packaging, and some of the packaging really does promote consumption for underage usage, and that's concerning. So those things will bring it to the attention of the Department of Agriculture, which oversees that. We'll make that known to them that we believe it's a concern, and then they determine whether or not the packaging is appropriate. Next slide, please. That's pretty much it. The only other thing I wanted to add was that with one of their biggest events is on April 20th. It's a huge event. They also have Green Wednesday, which is the Wednesday right before Thanksgiving. We want folks to be safe when they use these products. We want folks to go on the website. If they're going to get a medical card, we want them to go on the website. The medical Department of Public Health has a listing of all the medical conditions that people can apply for those. What we don't want people to do is we don't want people to order online. So often we get complaints from individuals who claim that they order products on cannabis online, and they went to pick it up at a facility that does not exist. Some of these scams include people finding vacant lots near dispensaries that are actually live locations. And what they'll do is they'll list it on their website. People will send them money, but again, they never get their product. So again, you should not be purchasing cannabis online anyway, because it's federally illegal. But if you are going to purchase cannabis, we want folks to do it responsibly, and we want them to visit the dispensaries. And all you have to do is go on the Cannabis Regulation Oversight Office website, and I can share that website with you later. There's a lot of different information on there, a lot of links to the different agencies. They also have stats on sales, what the majority of the products that are being sold, tax revenue, and all of that good stuff. So that's a good site to visit. As far as employment is concerned, the state police is always hiring. We're always hiring. We're looking for troopers. But if you don't want to be a trooper, you don't meet the qualifications to be a trooper, we also have a lot of civilian code positions. Just recently, we interviewed for some positions for internal security investigators. We do have one posting right now down in the Madison County area for those of you that are from Madison County. Again, visit the Career Illinois website, search for Illinois State Police, and you'll find all the positions with the Illinois State Police. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so much, Hector. Really appreciate you being here and speaking. And I think it's actually really appropriate after Karen's presentation because of, you know, how she was talking about like they advised on medical cannabis and things like that. So I think it's super appropriate. And given that we are coming up on April 20th in April. So I think it's a great presentation. Thank you so much. I wanted to, I know we have a little bit of time, but I wanted to have our ambassadors ask questions if they'd like. I'm looking on the chat to see if there are any questions. Oh, Betsy wants to know, is it acceptable for me to invite my community health workers to these meetings? Absolutely. I was just about to type that yes. Anyone is welcome to these meetings. We do ask that if you want, you know, the information that we share, the slides and meeting recording, we do that through our monthly newsletter, and that is specific and exclusive to our ambassadors. So you're welcome to sign up. It's free, and it's really just these meetings and these opportunities to hear folks out. But I think that's in the one more question. Are there any upcoming events that we can attend and meet other ambassadors in person? Oh, that's another ambassador question. Does anybody have questions for Lieutenant Alejandre? And you can come off mute. You can put them in the chat. I had a tiny question. Can you just speak a little bit more? Like when we were talking, I was like, I think this is also public health because of, you know, the connection to medical cannabis. Can you speak a little bit about, you know, like what you know, like what your point of view is when it comes to public health and medical cannabis?
Well, my public view or my well, you know, so I will say this from a personal stance. I grew up in an era where you know, obviously to be law enforcement, to be a police officer, you were not, you know, cannabis usage was not something that you could do because obviously clearly they didn't want officers to be impaired. I will tell you that the Illinois State Police has a zero tolerance policy as it pertains to any type of cannabis use, whether it's medical or recreational. We do get randomly drug tested, and that's just a stance. And that generally is across the board for law enforcement in general. Again, I grew up in an era where, you know, cannabis was, you know, always considered a Schedule I substance unless you had a prescription for it. And then again, we didn't have medical cannabis back then. So for me, I really don't have an opinion either way. You know, I go to these businesses. I'm impressed every day when I meet some of the folks that work there. They're very professional. You know, they do things right. We do have some bad actors. Unfortunately, there's some people there that work in the industry that don't care for law enforcement, regardless of, you know, why we're there. And we're not there to hurt anybody. We're there simply to enforce, you know, the statutes and the JCAR rules. We're not there to earn it. So, as a father of a 13-year-old, I am concerned for my son because, he's starting to get very curious and he's asking a lot of questions. And, I try to give him the best, possible answer. And, if when he gets to that age and he wants to um, indulge, then, I'll be at a point where I'll walk him in myself. I'll probably be retired by then. So I'll walk in there with him and, probably make sure that, he's doing it safely. And I'd rather him not. I personally have never used it. I don't feel I need any of those products. But again, I know that a lot of the veterans that I've spoken to while visiting these facilities or people with illnesses have great testimonies and are very grateful to these facilities for having these products. So
Sure.
it's just,
Thank you. Thank you for that honest response. And I think you make a good point. And I think another reason why we wanted to have you and bring you on is because we're about safety and we want folks to be safe when they're engaging in their activities, whether it's going to get prescriptions, whether it's playing outside, whether it's uh, consuming cannabis products. We want to make sure that they do it safely, fully aware of what they're doing, and that we hold them to a high standard, the producers, and make sure that we do that. Yeah, thank you so much. Thanks again, Hector, for making time for our presentation. And if you're okay, also, I'd like to share your slides with our group as well.
Yes, let me get back to you on that. It should be good. I just want to make sure we have a chain of command.
Absolutely.
Say, please. So
Yeah,
it shouldn't be an issue, but I'll let you know.
Of course. Thank you so much. All right, we got 3 minutes for Saleha and I to kind of give you the quick and dirty of our volunteer opportunities. Saleha, if you're there, if you want to do or talk a little bit about that, and I'll answer some of the questions in the chat.
Sure. Would you be able to share the screen with a sign-up form?
If you give me 1 minute, yes.
Sure. Yeah.
Of course, today's smart sheets takes forever. While I'm waiting for that to load, let me look at some of the comments. Are there any upcoming events that we can attend and meet other ambassadors in person? Not currently on the books, but I think that'd be a great idea. I think Saleha and I have talked about it, and logistically, like, we have folks across the state, which is amazing. So it'd be challenging to get them all in one place if we don't provide travel and things like that. But I think maybe on a smaller regional scale, it might be something to look into. And we can bring that up with our regional health officers and maybe plan something more in person. Susan says it would be great to have CHWs at these meetings, and we do. There are certainly some CHWs that are ambassadors and that are able to attend our monthly meetings and just engage with us generally. And then Stacy says I wasn't able to access some of the links in the newsletter. Stacy, if you have a moment to stay a little bit after the meeting, then we can address some of that. All right, here is the form. Let's see. Can I see this? Open a new tab. Okay, so yeah, I'm pulling it up now.
Okay, perfect. So I know that we, on that survey that we sent out to everyone, there was a lot of feedback stating that they would like to be more engaged as far as like in person and volunteering events. So we do have a couple events currently on the sign up form. And then if you guys are interested, or if it works out with your schedule and you're able to attend, you would just fill out the form and then indicate which specific event you'll be interested in. It is going to be on like a first come first serve basis. So Luby and I will just kind of keep track of all the signups, and then once you sign up and fill out the form, you should get an email within a couple of days just confirming your attendance for the event. And then we'll also just take you through like a brief overview and training, just kind of so you have an idea or a more grounded idea of what IDPH is and what we do, so that way you're able to speak about it with folks at these events. Yes, it will be. I know we're going to include it as far as the newsletter. It is definitely something we can reach out and possibly put on the main website as well, where like the regular sign up form for the ambassadors program is. But yeah, and then we do have some coming up towards the beginning of next month if anyone is interested. And the locations for these vary across the state, as you can see there.
Great. Yeah. So this is the sign up form. So yes, a good point, Celia. We'll try and get this on our website or some way. We'll certainly share it out with our ambassadors via newsletter. And then we will make it a reoccurring thing in our meetings. We will, we'll share it out. We'll share out the most recent opportunities. If there's a short time frame for volunteer calls, then we might just send out a quick email and ask for folks that might be available. But this will be the standard form. And again, we'll send this link via the newsletter, and then we'll find another way to get it to you all on a regular basis. I'm going to stop sharing. And so remind me again, we said we were going to do a QR code for folks to sign up, right, on our newsletter? Is that?
Yes. Yep, I have that QR code ready to go. So you guys will get that in the April newsletter that will go out on, I believe it's going to be Friday the 4th.
Great. Sounds good. Thank you so much for doing that, Celia. Celia has poured a lot of time and effort into getting this sign up form and our QR code and making sure that our newsletter is going out on time and with a lot of information. So I see that someone asked about accessing the newsletter. We can send you an email with more information. We'll send out an email and just to let folks know, but you're also welcome to send us an email if you're not getting it and want to. If you want to sign up to be a volunteer or to be an ambassador or a volunteer ambassador, please send us an email. We can certainly set up some communication in that way and address all of these concerns. For now, I know it's 4:02 and we have other things to get to. So I want to thank you all for staying a little later. Thank you all for your engagement, and a big thank you to our presenters as usual. We'll try and bring you latest information and updates as we move along. But thanks again for making time to be an ambassador and to be at our meetings, and we'll catch you in April. Thanks so much.
Lubia, is there a quick way that you can confirm that we are, in fact, assigned to you as ambassadors? Because I'd like to be able to get confirmation of that to share with leadership to show our participation.
Oh, yeah, of course. The easiest way would be to send me an email or just send us an email, and then I can say, yep, we have you, and we can send you the information that we have. So I'm going to put my email in the chat and just send me an email and I can send you a confirmation.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. Email is in the chat. I will leave this up for a few minutes just so folks can record it. And if there's any other questions, please feel free to let us know. Thanks again. Have a great rest of your day, and we'll see you in April.